Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson.
I'm Shannon Penrod, and I'm so thrilled to be here
Hi.
with my friend
Thrilled
Nancy.
to be with you.
It's been a wonky morning already.
Wonky?
I have to say, wonky. We started the show this morning with Dr. Grant Bichet, and I don't know if Wyatt was participating this morning at his school in the walkout.
In the walkout? Yeah, I have no idea whether he was part of that or not. Probably
okay.
not.
Well, so we were just honoring the spirit of that, and we started the show and said, before we do anything, we want to say that we stand in solidarity with these kids, and that, you know, I knew that Jem was walking out. She knew that, you know, at least one of her kids was walking out. And then we discovered we didn't have any sound, which was ironic because it's supposed to be a silent protest.
Right.
So we had to stop.
I was just checking my microphone to make sure that
mic.
I've got my mic on.
No, Samantha would let you know if you didn't. But anyway, so we had to stop, and then we had to restart our stream and start all over.
Okay.
Almost in the exact amount of time that the protest was. I feel like it was the universe saying,
oh, it was a protest.
You know, you got to be silent.
Yeah.
You got to participate in the silence. So. In any case, so it was we were off to sort of a weird start. So I'm all a Twitter here,
and
not
on Twitter.
We're live on Twitter right now.
All right.
But in any case, Nancy and I are here. We've got a big show, very exciting show.
Got a couple
with
of
some
guests
fabulous guests that we've got here. And I'm just realizing I left some of my stuff on the printer, but that's okay. One of the guests that we have coming up in just a few minutes is David Phillips, and David has been on the show before, and he's one of our avid viewers that watches the show on a regular basis and kind of keeps us in line. It's not unusual at all for one of us to get a comment from David saying that we have coded something wrong on the YouTube page, put it in the wrong playlist. Honestly, I don't know what we'd do without him, and he's got his own program that he's getting ready to start, and he's going to talk about that with us. Then we got two moms who together have, you know, they're those on it moms.
Yeah, parent advocates.
Oh man, amazing.
Based on their own experience too.
Yes.
This is coming from they have kids that
and they have started standout advocates, and what they do is help. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you can bring them in, and they can help you to get paperwork done. They can help you to advocate.
And who doesn't feel overwhelmed at times in this process?
I'm telling you. And they can help you sort of jumpstart processes that could take forever and that you could get lost in. They're taking their knowledge to the streets and helping other parents. So that's going to be really wonderful. And first, we've got some news, some of it disturbing.
Yes.
So
there is to start with, though, there is there's findings that parents beat clinicians at detecting autism signs in infants oftentimes, which is no surprise.
Didn't you kind of cheer a little bit when you saw that?
Well, yeah.
I think a lot of times as parents we're maligned, and it's like, well, the parent said that.
Right. The
like,
problem,
what must we know?
And I think the problem comes in here is when the parent notices something, but the pediatrician poo-poos it.
Yes, and that happens a lot. And
it happened to me.
Right, and it happened to me, and I think it's happened to most parents. So I love that's one of the reasons why I looked at this and I was like, I love this.
Yeah. At 12 months, the reality is that some parents have a sense that there's something not quite right, they're saying.
And they're saying that's quicker than a clinician would notice.
Right, and because oftentimes the baby visit is short, which that's what happened in my case. You know, things fell through the cracks because those checkups are very short. You're not necessarily going to notice some of the things.
And I got to say, you know, different pediatricians at different points do different screenings.
Right.
It's not across the board, and it's not across the board for a really good, crappy reason, and that we covered this last year, that the people who set up protocols for testing things decided that all children shouldn't be screened for autism.
That it might lead to false diagnosis.
I just want to, like, projectile vomit
on
that panel. But in any case, you know, what this points up for me is that as parents, we need to listen to our guts. I would like if you had a time machine and you could go anywhere, right? I would love to see my parents alive. I'd love to be 14 again, but that's not where I would use a time machine. I would go back in time to the moment that I first felt that something was off, and I would have a conversation with myself then and say, you need to listen to yourself.
Yeah, I
right?
would too. I would go back in time to
Right?
that moment. Yeah.
And I can't, and you can't,
No.
but that's part of what gets me up in the morning and gets me here. And because I'm not a makeup person, you know,
Right.
you know, but I plaster it on so that I can talk to you guys in the hopes that I can prevent somebody else from, you know, if it's 2 days or 2 years, from sitting in that place where you know something's going on and the pediatrician's not listening to you.
Yeah.
Right?
And then oftentimes when you even get confirmation something's going on, you don't get the right confirmation of what really is going on.
Right, because you got PDD-NOS.
Right, which is astounding to me that I got PDD-NOS, because Wyatt showed delays in all 3
Right.
areas, dominant areas. So it just is, once again, that things can happen that still take years to unravel.
Absolutely. But this is, you know, what you can do is you can print this out for yourselves. I think we got this from Spectrum. So spectrumnews.org, and you can print this out and take it with you to the pediatrician appointment and say, hi, I'm seeing this, this, and this. And according to this study, parents notice before the clinicians do. And so I'd like you to take me seriously. And guess what? If they don't, make another appointment.
Right.
Even within your HMO, you have the right to ask for another appointment. So in any case, I'm looking for who authored the study, and of course I don't see that. But it's in Spectrum. Oh, PubMed. I don't see who it is. It's abbreviated. So it's on PubMed.
University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada.
Thank you. You're good. I couldn't find it.
It was lead investigator Lonnie Zwagenbaum.
There you go. So take it with you to the pediatrician. Now we've got 2 kids, and I'll be honest with you that I didn't get a chance this morning. I was going to check and see if there was an update on either of these 2 kids, but as far as I know, they are still missing. And this just brings up for me how important it is for all of us to be aware of what's going on and get whatever help you need. And I really encourage you. We're like, what, 2 weeks away from a open grant phase with autism care and treatment today, and
Right.
a lot of the grant requests are for safety things to
Yes.
keep kids safe, and here's why. And also, can we say too, it's that time of year. This is the time of year where kids more than ever are going to elope for the next 3 months. We're going to see this time and time and time again. We've got 2 kids that are missing in the state of New York. One of them is missing from upstate. Rochester.
Yeah, his name is Travion Rowe.
Yeah, and
they've been searching the Genesee River and
the other one is
around the
Matthew.
Genesee River area.
The other one is 16-year-old Matthew Guzman, who is missing from the Bronx.
He was last seen riding his Razor scooter heading south on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, and Travion was last seen around, this is the area of Rochester, New York. So he was last seen last Thursday afternoon.
And I gotta say, you know, to all of us who have kids on the spectrum, we need to pay attention right now. And I love Dr. Jonathan Tarbox used to look into the camera and say, I want you to pretend that your child just looked you square in the face and had the ability to say to you, when I get a chance to run, I'm gonna run. And that what would you do if your child had the ability to say that to you, and then just do that? And it would be very easy for those of us who have older kids to think, oh, that won't happen, but we have seen that happen. Even kids who don't want to run away. I mean, we've seen that with Romario Snow. Something happened and he ran twice. And you know, one of the moms, I don't know if she's going to talk about it, but one of the moms that we have on the show had a scare last week.
Oh, did she?
And you know, there are all different ways, even with older kids. We need to be mindful and we need to front load our kids. And if you are in the upstate New York area around Rochester, please share, do whatever you can, print flyers as if it was your kid, to help see if they can find this young man who's been missing for quite a while right now. And if you are in the Bronx area, New York City area, I know that Matthew Guzman's family could use some help and support. But put up flyers. You never know. Last year when Romario Snow went missing, I couldn't stand it, and my whole family, we went and handed out flyers. And I got to tell you, it was such a good thing for my son to be a part of that. And when they found him, it was not one of the flyers that we put up, but it was one of the flyers that somebody else had distributed to make sure the park employees had it, and they found him.
Yeah, it can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And if you want a way to feel empowered and not helpless about this type of thing going on.
So in any case, I hate to always leave it on sad news.
Right.
We usually have a happy story. I'm fresh out today, but we're going to take a pause, and then we're going to come back first with David Phillips. So stick with us.
Hi, this is Lisa Ackerman. Welcome back to Talk of Facts, frequently asked questions and answers for the autism journey. Now this one is specifically for teens and adults with autism. I get this question all the time. What's new and exciting in the medical world today for teens and adults with autism? So let's talk about them. TMS, transmagnetic stimulation therapy, is something that is really exciting. I met with the author, John Robison. Look me in the eye. He's a gentleman with Asperger's, and something I hope all of our kids to strive and grow up and be just like him. He's amazing. He talked about TMS therapy and how he became more social aware. His smile was more natural, and I definitely can better understand things around him in those social settings. Another really great treatment that we're seeing just a ton of research on in the last 3 years is cerebral folate autoimmunity. You know, in the 90s, they started putting folate in all of our different foods and products. Well, some people, they have found out, and specifically a high percentage of children with autism don't process folate like how they should. Go figure. They don't do it the way the books say it's going to happen. So cerebral folate autoimmunity is just a really exciting new therapeutic to work with your physician on and to look to see if your child is a candidate for that therapy. And another common thing that we're seeing in teens and adults, and we've talked about it before in Talk of Facts, is seizures. Very serious issue that needs to be looked at. Abnormal brain waves or brain patterns or epileptic activity in the brain definitely needs to be addressed in children with autism. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I know doctors that can go through and work and look at the child and perform a 24-hour EEG. What they're finding with some of these anticonvulsant or seizure medications is kids start to make great gains in speech, cognition, sleep, learning, by treating any type of seizure activity. So, and the other issue is pandas, not the cute fuzzy bears that we see in the zoo, but an issue that is happening with a lot of teens and adults on the spectrum, where you see a dramatic change in behaviors with these individuals, and often they have an inappropriate immune response. TACA has a great white paper, so you can go look up in the pandas definition what to test and treat for and talk to your doctor about. But know that if you see an extreme swing in behavior with a child that goes from one place to a very negative place, we're seeing a lot of teens positively responding to treatments for pandas. And the last treatment I wanted to talk about, and I'm super excited about, and this happens to not just work with younger kids on the autism spectrum, but also older children on the spectrum, teens and adults. It's called mendability. And a great study just came out of UCI in May 2013 about a multi-sensory approach for individuals with autism. The whole premise behind the therapy is very simple, making it a sensory-rich environment so neural connections can make new pathways or at least connect in that individual. So kids with sensory issues, auditory listening issues, speech issues, they seem to really just respond to mendability, and I was so excited to see that new research. More research is being done on it, and the beautiful part about mendability is it's something parents can do on their own, administer with their child, and be connected to their kid as partners in the autism journey. Don't forget in any therapy or medical intervention to work with your physician and to do proper testing to know what your child needs and what treatments to pursue under a physician's care. So there's so many new things. I could go on for hours about new treatments and excitement, but there's the top ones that just have me so geeked here. But that's another Talk of Fact. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time and on Real Journey, Real Questions and Answers to help your autism journey.
Welcome back.
Let's talk autism. And we've got a special guest now who you happen to have a relationship with, you know.
Yeah, he has been a long-time friend of the show, and as I said, helps us out from time to time in the show as a volunteer. He, will write to us and give us information and things. And but this is his second time being on the show. We're welcoming David Phillips. Thank you, David, for being with us.
You are very welcome.
And what do you want to start out telling the viewers at home about you?
Well, my name is David Phillips, and I have cerebral palsy, but I educate people about autism. I'm going to be starting my own show. I have my own website and my own YouTube channel, which at the end of the interview, I'll tell you how to get a hold of me. I even have a business phone number, so I have several different ways how you can get a hold of me.
Okay, and you tell us what the website is, and tell it, because you've got a pretty comprehensive website. Tell us what's on your website.
My website is unlockingthekeytoautism.com. That's it. As you see, Samantha already has it on the screen for us. Thank you, Samantha.
Yes, but for people who listen on Twitter, again, it's unlocking the key singular to autism.com. Not plural keys, key singular.
And tell me what's on the website, David, because I'm not familiar with it.
On the website, when you first go there, you will see a homepage of all my favorite videos that I like, which once I start the show, that's going to change to have my show listed on the homepage. That's what's on the homepage, and then when you go to the second page, you'll see about unlocking the key to autism. There I have a description of what the show is about. I have a description of my program producer, and I added one more person, and it is volunteer. Full disclosure, the former program producer of Autism-Live is my social media consultant, Kelby Wood, and I am so grateful to have him as part of my show. Again, I want to stress that is volunteer. He does not get paid.
Oh, well,
Isn't
that's
that a wonderful
great.
thing?
Yeah, we love Kelby.
Yeah, we love Kelby. And I think it's wonderful that you and Kelby continue to have a working relationship after Kelby left. I think that's
now,
wonderful.
If you skip, then on that same page, there's a little arrow that says acknowledgements. There's John Butterall, who I'm very close with. Then we have our very own Dr. Dory Grandishay, PhD, BCBAD, who has been instrumental, and she has done a lot of work on my website and PowerPoint. Now, the pages that she has worked on, you will see at the bottom of the pages, it says contributions by Dr. Dory Grandishay, PhD, BCBAD, and I'm very grateful to have her involved in this. There might be a couple things changing due to the new criteria of autism and different things on my website, but I'm waiting to hear back from her because I don't change those pages that she was a contributor on without her permission.
Yeah, and in a nutshell, your website has a lot of information on it. He really has aggregated information from all over the place, and you can watch a lot of different things, including, you want to put somebody in charge of something and get something done. I'm telling you, David gets stuff done.
So this is a good way for people to acquaint themselves with autism?
Absolutely, and there's a wealth of different resources, things that he has liked in the past. And David looks at a lot of different things. You remember when I used to do the radio show, Everyday Autism Miracles, David, those all exist on iTunes, and David came to me and said, these should be on YouTube. And I was like, well, there's no picture. And he's like, that's okay. And so he put them on YouTube. They're on his YouTube page.
Okay.
So, and he got me to agree to that, and he got the radio station that did that to agree to that. David's a mover and a shaker. He gets things done.
Sounds like it, David.
One other thing I want to mention before we go back on my website, please urge your New York congressman to fight for Kevin's law and Avante's law. They are not doing their job by passing it. I already said Chuck Schumer a letter, but Shannon, we need your fight at Autism Live after another 15-year-old in Rochester, Trayvon Rowe, drowned in the Genesee River. Please pass this law. I know in this case, Kevin's law and Avante's law wouldn't have helped it. For people that don't know about that law, it is a new law in New York State where all schools are supposed to have alarms on the doors, but every single year we have to nudge our legislators to pass it. So Chuck Schumer, Christine Gillibrand, and all the others, please urge them to pass this law. It is detrimental to our health. Another thing I want to add very quickly is if your child is a Lobi, Act Today does have an SOS fund that you can apply for at any time, and their website is act-today.org. Please reach out to Act Today, and if you don't have an emergency, they do have grants 4 times a year. And again, Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson is the executive director of Act Today.
Yeah. Thank you, David. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, because it's very needed. So we're running out of time, David. What else do you want the folks to know about the show that you're going to be doing?
My show is going to be more of an investigation type show. I'm going to be dealing with the topics nobody wants to talk about. I'm going to be dealing with autism and vaccines, autism and suicide, which again, nobody likes to talk about that, but it does exist in our community. And I have a lot of ways you can reach out to me. I know with Shannon's show, she always says, give your kiddos a hug from me, but there's some kids you can't hug. So I have a new slogan, and that slogan is, you are never alone. Parents, if you need to reach out. My show is only going to be a once a month show, and it's going to be listed by episodes, but I am always here for you. If you need help, you are never alone. And if I don't know where to go myself, I will find out. One of the things I need help from the public on is I have resources for California. I have resources for a couple other states. But if you go to my resources tab on the first page and you see that your local center is not on there that deals with autism, please contact me by using the Contact Us form. Give me the website for your center if you can, and I will put it on that page. My website is for not just where I am locally, but all over the world.
Okay, so it's going to be a great resource for everybody.
And where will people be able to hear? Is it going to be on iTunes? Is it on a channel? Where will people be able to hear your show?
Because I'm illiterate with everything except YouTube, for now it's going to be on YouTube, but hopefully by the grace of the man upstairs and my social media consultant, Kelby Wood, will be having more places as time goes on, but for now it's going to be on my website and YouTube. Again, I talked to Samantha yesterday. I only have 66 subscribers on YouTube, so I'm not able to create a URL yet. So please go to my website. You'll see a tab that says more. Click on the more tab and you'll see another tab that says social media sites. Right now, the only social media site there you see is YouTube. Click on it and please subscribe. My goal is to get 150 subscribers by the end of April, and I know that's a big goal, but I know the autism-live community will support me.
And then
Thank
if you get 150, does that mean that you get a URL on YouTube?
I think it's either 150 or 180. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's pretty high up there.
Okay.
And then I'll get a
Well,
custom you.
Hopefully,
Sure.
Kelby Wood will be sharing this video.
Yes.
What a strange twist of events. So he'll be able to do that. So you said you had a big surprise at the end of the interview, David. What did you want to tell us?
My big surprise is just that I've been working with Kelby, and honestly, he's great to have. I don't think if it wasn't for Kelby that I'd be able to get this done, because me and him talk every 2 months on Skype. He gives me advice. That's why I decided to go with episodes and not dates. That's why I've decided to only do a once a month show. This way I am here for the people, but I won't be doing a show as often as Shannon. One other thing I'd like to tell the viewers just quickly is that none of my shows are going to be live at this point for cost effectability, but that does not mean that I won't be answering questions on the show. Now, if you have a question, use that same contact us page. You'll notice though, on that page, it says if you give us your name, we won't use it on the air unless you give us permission. So when you're filling out the contact page, if you want your name used on the air, please give us permission. Also, it's not mandatory to give me your name or your email or your phone number. The only thing that I require mandatory is the subject and the message line.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and thank you so much for caring about this community and putting together so much information.
Also, Nancy, can you do me a favor when you get a chance, and I can email you to remind you? Can you send me the link for Just Act Today as donate section? Because I'm planning on doing a special page, and I'll talk more about that in the future, but I need just their donate link.
Okay, great. I will do that, David. Thank you so much.
All right.
You are very welcome.
Please give your best to your family for us, and we will look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
So you can be when this actually starts airing, you can announce it.
Yes, well, I think he has asked in the past that you and I would be the first guests.
Okay.
Which is so sweet.
Yeah.
And if we can make that work, we'd like to make that work. And so obviously we will let you guys know, and you guys can tune in and hear Nancy and I on his show, because turnaround is fair play, right?
Right.
And then we'll have to answer whatever he asks.
Okay.
So that sounds like fun. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got two incredible, those superstar Uber autism moms. We'll try not to be too intimidated by them, but what they're doing is taking what they've learned and turning it around and making it available to other people as a service.
They have a service called Standout Advocates. So we'll be back with Melissa Schomburg-Lander and Marlene Luck.
There we go. Stick with us.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Welcome back. You're live on Autism Live, and I've got my friend Jennifer here. I'm so excited she's here to help me. She's got a son named Dylan. I got a son named Jeff. We got all sorts of allergy issues. And a lot of you say, what the heck can we do to eat breakfast that's not full of carbs?
And getting my son to eat vegetables.
Oh, yeah. This is a vegetable. So we're going to eat vegetables today. And so what we're making is a zucchini muffin. So let's go ahead and get started. So we just dumped in our zucchinis. You can start with less if you want to graduate your kid to actually eating healthy. We're going to do some eggs. And again, I use the organic cage-free eggs. So there's our eggs. I'm going to add in our oil. Again, I use a high heat oil, and the reason why I use a high heat oil, because when you bake, you want to make sure you're using an oil that doesn't disintegrate, because when oil gets too hot and it's not meant to get hot, it becomes toxic. So you got to be careful with your oils. So there goes our maple syrup, and again, organic maple syrup. What we're going to add next is cinnamon and our baking soda, baking powder to our mix. There's a lot of variations on flours. A lot of our kids are allergic to wheat, so there's a lot of things we can do to make this SCD, specific carbohydrate compliant, or just gluten-free, casein-free, soy-free. And flaxseed meal. Flaxseed meal is a great resource for extra fiber within the kids' diets. We're just going to turn on this fabulous, wonderful KitchenAid, and we're good. It's a great, great looking batter. And what we're going to do is talk a little bit about baking, where almost everything is aluminum, and aluminum can be a problem for some kids, especially kids that can't methylate and take the toxins out with their body. But if you've got, like me, I've got muffin tins, so I have the ability to just simply put in some cupcake holders, and that actually holds that together if I want to freeze it. Hey, nice work. Those look good, but wait till you see them when they're done.
All right.
So I'll go ahead and pull them out. Here are the fabulous muffins. Now, if you've got a sensory kid that doesn't like vegetables, I can already I Spy the zucchini. Remember what I told you earlier? Resolve that simply by peeling off the green layer, and then it will cook literally translucent. Such a nice golden brown. I love how the texture is. We know that the breakfast can be a challenge. This makes that process a whole lot easier for you and your family. I really appreciate all the feedback. We definitely want to hear from you for our next segment. If you'd like us to cook something, or maybe make an old favorite and that's allergy-free, we can do that here on Autism Live. So give us your feedback. You can email us at autismlive@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page like everybody, facebook.com/autismlive. And also you can reach Taka on the Taka website at Taka Now. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining us on Autism Live.
Say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, why does my child stim? Well, first of all, let's talk about what stimming is. Stimming is a slang term for self-stimulatory behavior, which is kind of a misnomer anyway, because a lot of the times when our children engage in these kinds of behaviors, they're not to stimulate themselves. Sometimes they're to soothe themselves. So first of all, we want to get rid of the notion that it's to stimulate themselves. But they do these behaviors because there's something about it that feels good. And that's the main thing that we need to know as parents. It's not some random behavior. There's something about it that's giving the child a paycheck. And once we get an idea of what that might be, we need to find a behavior that can take that behavior's place and start to reinforce that. We want to pick something that's more socially acceptable. So if, for instance, the child is doing a lot of hand flapping because they like seeing their blurred fingers, then we can find something else for them to focus on, maybe a toy that does blurred colors, so for a period of time they'll focus on that. The main thing to remember, though, is that there is a reason for these behaviors. There's something about it that feels good to the child, and once we know that, we can begin to change it. There's a phrase that's being used in the autism community called stimming.
Hello there, fellow activist. You're an activist because you're making the world a better place for someone living with autism. Now on Autism Live, you learn all about your children. You learn about their bodies and their brains. But this empowerment moment is all about you. It's about your heart and your soul. Now don't worry, I'm not going to have you start singing Kumbaya or doing chanting. Let's talk about blessings. One of the blessings of living with a child with autism is learning to love them unconditionally. Learning to love them despite all the ups and downs, all the sacrifices. In fact, you learn to love them more so because of them. I call this my empowerment prayer. God grant me the wisdom
to see my disability as an opportunity, the courage to love my child unconditionally, and the faith to live a life of purpose. So going from the sublime to the ridiculous, I have a little song for you today. It's a rap song, so I know that an old or, middle-aged white woman rapping just doesn't seem right, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. My style is a little like Nicki Minaj meets Dr. Seuss. Nancy's autism rap. It's just a diagnosis, your life's not over. Don't lay there like a dog, get up, Rover. You say your head is spinning with GF, CF, ABA, IEPs, and neurofeedback? Autism tough, that much is true, but you'll survive because you're you. Your life's not over, it's just begun, so walk out that door and go be someone. More Dr. Seuss than Nicki Minaj. Until next time, stay strong and keep the faith.
Okay, we're back. Here we are.
Yes.
And as promised, we're back with two terrific moms and advocates. We've got Melissa Lander and Marlene Luck. Did I pronounce? Lewick. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, nice to have you here. And you are the co-founders of Standout Advocates.
We are.
Yes.
All right. So tell us, first of all, what Standout Advocates is.
Me, you?
Yeah, you go.
Okay.
You're much better.
So I was on here about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now, and I had started up a care coordination company because I had found that families were not being given all the right information, were not helped to negotiate the trials and tribulations that come with the diagnosis of a special needs child. You know, there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of wrong information that's given out there. So I wanted to kind of recreate what Regional Center was originally intended to do and really be in the trenches with the families, helping them to find the right support systems. But inevitably, I found that I was always kind of put into a position as an advocate. And Marlene here was an advocate. And that's all she was, well, not all she was doing, but that's the angle she was coming at. And when we kind of got together, we realized that we could put together a much greater service for everybody by being client-based instead of resource-based as an advocacy group. So we can advocate for our clients in any number of spheres, whether it be IEPs, Regional Center, IHSS, Medi-Cal.
From initial stages all the way into people who are in their 60s. And there are, when they lifted the cap from Regional Center of having the diagnosis before you're 18, then it allowed for a much broader scope of people to be able to access those services even later on in life. So that was part of it. And I mainly did representation in court. So I went to Regional Center hearings and IHSS hearings and Medi-Cal hearings. I didn't do too much of the care coordination side. So with Melissa, it was really a perfect match.
Right.
Yes.
And this comes from personal experience as well, because both of you personally have, in your family, you have autism. So
Yes.
tell us about that.
So I have an 11-year-old with autism, high functioning. He's mainstreamed in 6th grade.
Okay.
He is also a card kid and has been for a very, very long time since he was diagnosed.
Okay.
Really. And
What age was he diagnosed at?
he was diagnosed at 3.5, but I think that, like, in a lot of ways, I have a lot of guilt of not having acted faster. I think we all have a little bit of that. And you know, he's doing better. He's starting to slowly kind of find his own way, and I kind of needed somewhere to put all that energy and all that knowledge that I had and all that passion for what I was doing for him, and you know, use it, you know, with other kids.
Right. And Marlene, what about you?
My guy was 2.5 when he was diagnosed, and he's 9 now. He was nonverbal. He's fully verbal now. He is also a card kid for the past year, and high functioning. He tested into the GATE program at school. He has a one-on-one aid since kindergarten, and he's got some nice behaviors to go along with that, with comorbidity, ADHD. But I think a lot of mine started because I also have a 23-year-old who was diagnosed with ID at the age of 19. And I remember very early on how there were so many misdiagnoses. And us, it was going through the school because nobody said anything about Regional Center back then.
Right.
So we only had the school and them kind of guiding and directing, trying to work with us and the doctors. And that was horrible because of all of the different types of medications you went through based on the diagnosis, and then after all these years realizing that none of that was correct. And now, having done that, been through that particular journey, fighting for her now and having the benefits because she's over 18 and unable to sustain a job, and although she's pretty high functioning, there still was that whole piece missing. So that in combination with my little one, so between my husband and I we have 5. We have 23, 17, 10, 9, and 7.
Wow,
so
you've got 3. You guys have full houses.
We do. So when Russell was diagnosed, I certainly didn't understand either, but so I made it my job. I made it my job to understand what was going on with my kids, and I was tired of being in the dark.
And I love the fact that now at this point, you guys are saying, okay, I took the time to learn all this. I advocated for my kid. It's not as if you're going to stop advocating for your kid, but now you're utilizing what you know and making it a shortcut for other people. So let's go back and talk a little bit about the services, because I was a little amazed and thrilled to see that you guys can also help to coordinate diagnosis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the new tough hurdles, that it's gotten actually harder with the advent of insurance for people to find and get connected
and they don't know the rules.
No, and
They
you're
don't
new.
know about
You're
the
brand
DSM-5.
spanking. Yeah.
Yeah, but
American
a lot of
Psychology
times I hear,
Association.
well, I can go to an AV agency. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. First, you need the diagnosis. Then you can take the diagnosis to the AV agency, but the AV agency won't take it without the diagnosis. Then they have to, they ask for an 8-hour, usually it's an 8-hour assessment. Then you get the results. Then they recommend the amount of, there's this. That was the thing was, when I first came out here, was like, well, go to regional center. Okay, so then I waited around for 8 months. Now, luckily, I had a diagnosis already. And already I was at ECPHP, and I was already going. But a lot of our parents, I see on these mom groups that people are saying, oh, we'll go to regional center. Oh, you think you have a kid down the spectrum? Oh, go to regional center. Well, you're looking at about an 8-month gap if you're not an early start.
Right.
So what we kind of do is we have built a really amazing network of professionals that we rely on them as rely on them as kind of this great network of people that we can contact to send our clients to, that we know, think the same way we do, that are going to take care of our clients, we know that we can get that information back from them, and we're able to get them diagnoses, or at least help to deliver that option of a diagnosis. I mean, we can never guarantee anybody a diagnosis. I don't diagnose.
Right.
But what I can do is, I call it my ADAR. I've been doing this for a while, so I can sense when there's something more there that shouldn't be there, and to help facilitate getting a diagnosis, saying, hey, okay, this is the way it's going to work. So the great thing about what we do is we take every client where they are. So we take every client, because we're client-based, we don't say, okay, well, this part, we don't do this part. If it's to do with your child's diagnosis or needing a diagnosis, it's our problem. So whether they are adopted or foster care, if they are, if they have a physical disability or an intellectual, we are able to take them where they are and then fill in all the blanks around them. And if that includes a diagnosis, then that's what we help doing. But then we make sure they understand, okay, so we're going to do this once we get the diagnosis, then we can apply for regional center. That's going to take around this amount of time. In the meantime, we can go after all these other resources at the same time, so they're not sitting around waiting for that regional center. Right. We'll start helping them get them ABA, start getting them into the right school program, getting the IEP sorted, so that no time is wasted, because as you know, the earlier the better, the more intervention, the earlier the better, so we don't want to waste any time, which we feel like in some ways, well, we did, and our families have done, by not knowing all the different rules and all the different things that are out there, specialized programs, helping them decide whether they want a private or a public, and if they want a special needs school versus public school, a one-to-one, or a SDC classroom. We can do it all with the help of our little team.
I'm sold. I mean, this is an amazing thing, because the overwhelm is the biggest thing, and you don't know what you don't know. You don't even know what to ask.
I said that yesterday to somebody.
Yeah.
But one thing you said was you have all this knowledge and whatnot, but my family, my mom's one of 8 kids now, and they have a lot of different things, different avenues that they went with, work and whatnot, and every single one of my family members, the elders, have at least told me that knowledge is nothing if you don't share it.
Yeah.
So it's my job to share everything that I know and help as many people who want the help. And that's also another hurdle because, you know, even as a mom, denial is really strong. And it makes my heart feel good to think that, hey, it may not be autism, it may not be this, it may not be that, because you're a mom, you're a parent. You don't really want anything wrong with your child. So reshaping your direction of how you think and how you approach whatever disabilities that you have, whether they be labeled or not with your child, is really important. So we connect with our parents on a much different level than some of the other agencies, and there's a lot of them. And we encourage families to go out and see what other agencies there are out there that they might be able to help from. Don't just settle with something else, because I would never suggest that either.
Yeah.
I would want them to go out and get information about as much as possible, anything having to do with what they're thinking about, and then come back and say, okay, you know, this is what I found out, can you help me with this? And it makes it a lot better for us too.
It's amazing. So how can people find you? Like, where can they go? And let's do that first, but then I want to know what area, because people are going to be in Texas going, can I get this in Texas?
Yeah.
Well, so that everybody knows, only in California are the services available at this level. And it's predominantly because we have a law called Lanterman that was enacted in '71 that says that people who qualify under that developmental disability category are entitled to receive services free of cost. Right? So California,
and
don't
Lanterman
quote
says
me.
we have the right, that person with disabilities has the right to a meaningful existence of their choosing.
Right.
Which I think is a very powerful thing to say, and no other state has that as a part of their directive for dealing with people with special needs. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to say that they're allowed to choose their own path, and that we should be helping them to do that.
Absolutely.
Right.
So again, where can they find you? What's your website?
Our website is at www.standoutadvocates.com, and it's advocates with an S. We have an 800 number, 844-762-4968.
I don't have it memorized.
There are.
That's why it's good to be partners with somebody who knows
exactly,
that.
exactly. And we're on Momopedia, which is a Facebook group of mom experts, and so we're their special needs advocates, and we do that. And then
we have a Facebook page also. It's Standout Advocates. So mainly it's just searching our name, and we'll come up in the feed or a Google search pretty easily. But for those families that are across the United States, there are certain things that we're able to do. And
Social Security is still viable.
Right.
Regional centers, some states have regional center.
Okay.
Some states have a program that mimics things like IHSS or that type of in-home service care, although it's becoming more and more sparse from what I understand because of the budgetary constraints. California still receives the largest cut of Medicaid funds from any other state in the United States.
Don't advertise that.
There's a reason. I mean,
Don't tell everybody.
Nobody say anything.
Our families, when we advocate for them, we are, we've gone the distance. They are families who are truly in need. They need all levels of support, and it's our job to help them find whatever it is that, to capitalize on all the opportunities.
You do a personal support plan, is what you call it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right.
I
Okay.
love that.
And you also do dispute representation for families that have been denied services?
We
Yes.
do. We litigate.
So we go to IHSS, we go to appeals and state hearings often, more often than I'd like due to traffic. But we also do regional center appeals and Medi-Cal. We
Social
do
Security.
IEPs. We work with lawyers to do once we get into due process for IEPs who work with our company, so that we really can. And the nice thing is that all that information is centrally located. So when you're dealing with IEPs or IHSS or regional, our job is to put a great foundation down so that that family can take that information to each one of the resources with us, obviously, or they can use it without us, but we're building a support system underneath them so that each one of the different avenues they go to, all that information is easily accessible. It's all put in the right place. If I see a client and they've come for IHSS, but I look at their paperwork and I see that there's huge issues with their regional center or whatever, then to go in there and to deal with that, get it corrected, get it put in the right way, or to get the right services, and then move forward with whatever it is they wanted us to do. But to not just look at the client as the resource,
Right.
to look at the client and what's best for the client, and the client is is the child,
Right.
you know, the child or the adult child. But
Yes.
it's not the family; it's the
tell-
child, and saying,
yeah.
what is it that we need to do to make the trajectory of this person better?
Yeah.
And this is how we're going to do it. But part of that is going into each different area and making sure it's been done right and it's done properly, so that when they move forward, with or without us, they're moving forward in a way that they understand more, that they are capable of handling more, that they have everything prepared for them. They just need to take this and move forward. But the nice thing is that once you retain us, you're always retained. We're always retained by you. So you can be off our, you know, not needing anything, and a few years later something can happen, and you don't need to be retained again. You have to pay one for your IEP, one for your regional center. You just come back and say, hey, I need help with this. And we're always kind of a part of their lives and finding out what's going on with them, so that we're always abreast, so that when they do need to come back, we're ready for them.
So it's a continuum of care.
It is.
Absolutely.
And I love that, you know, because nobody is in any way saying that this is free. There is a cost that comes with this. But
Absolutely.
But we want to be clear with families that there's a cost for not doing it as well. You waste
Absolutely.
time. We've all been there and done that and wasted time while we educated ourselves. And then later on, how often are we at lunch and somebody brings something up and we go, after you and I have been in this for so long and interviewed experts, and somebody will say something and I'll go, I didn't know you could get that. Did you know you could get that?
Just
I
recently, I
didn't
mean, I'm
know
learning
that.
every day. We learn every day about
Oh my
services you can
gosh.
get.
And so
I wasn't aware of respite and IHSS to the degree that I could access that until recently.
Right.
You know,
So,
right.
in
parents
any
don't
case,
know.
Samantha's telling me we're out of time, but I just want to say to families, they should reach out to you if there's even a question in their mind, because we were talking earlier, if we had time machines that could go back, we would tell ourselves to listen to ourselves, but I would also go back and I would spare myself some of the mental health issues that I had.
Right.
Of not knowing, was I doing everything for my kid, and beating myself and staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning to research.
And also
of
having
mind.
somebody
I've
else
heard
who's
that.
moving the ball forward for you, so it's not all on you.
Right.
Every
That's-
move
That gets
is
to be
the
so overwhelming,
recipe
and then
for
you can get
success.
so
is
burned out.
hugely overwhelming.
Right.
yeah.
A
So
recipe for
Standout
success.
Advocates, once again, is the name.
Yes.
And you can find them, as we said, you can Google it and come
Yeah.
right up and.
And we don't keep our information hostage. You
No.
know, we only
Our
we
consultations are free.
But you know, you have a question, give us a call, send us an
you
email.
go.
We're happy to give you the right answer.
Yes.
We're not going to force someone to hire us. They have to hire us because they want to.
Right.
We're happy to
You guys
give you the
are awesome.
information we have, and you can go after it yourself.
You
Okay.
guys
No
are
problem.
awesome.